Hey guys, next episode of Collecting with Hammer, we're going to be talking about Audrey Hepburn, my favorite actress. If you don't know much about her life, you definitely should look into her. Did some really interesting things. As a child, she passed notes from the resistance in Holland, um, the resistance to Hitler. She passed notes back and forth. If the movie about it is to be believed, with Jennifer Love Hewitt playing Audrey Hepburn, then she actually witnessed a death. But she definitely did pass the notes. I did look that up. Pretty wild stuff. She had colitis as a child, and my father has colitis. He said that's no messing around there. That would have been horrible back in the day. And by all accounts, from what I've seen in interviews, she was a great person. Very fun to be around. And I believe it. Watching her movies, I definitely believe that. This is a 5 DVD collection. I did try to find a Blu-ray pack, and you just can't find them with the same frequency as the DVDs. I did find a 3 or a 3 Blu-ray pack, and I think it had Sabrina, Roman Holiday, and Breakfast at Tiffany's. Not positive on that, but it was about $15 more than the DVD I got here, the DVD collection I got here, which was about 15 bucks. And these look pretty good. The DVD looks pretty good. It does have Funny Face, Paris When It Sizzles, Sabrina, Roman Holiday, and Breakfast at Tiffany's. So I'll be talking about these films, talk about the collection, but I'm also going to tell you my top 5 Audrey Hepburn films of all time. And there's definitely a lot out there that I have not seen. I would love to see How to Steal a Million. I keep saying that weird when I say that. How to Steal a Million. I want to see The Unforgiven with Burt Lancaster. I'm sure there's others, but I'm drawing a blank right at the moment. But here's the inside. They do have their own slot. Obviously, these two look similar, and these 3 say Centennial Collection, which is not what this says, so I assume they came from another collection. Here's the back. I don't know if you can see that or not. These did come out of order, so I put them in the order they're listed here. They also were not in chronological order either, so I don't know what order they came in, but anyway. So anyway, I guess let's jump into these movies, and then at the end, I'll tell you my top 5, if I had to pick, of my favorites. I won't even say the best. I'll just say they're my favorites. We all have our own tastes. We all like what we like. I'm just going to tell you my favorite Audrey Hepburn films. So anyway, let's start with Funny Face. This is a musical with Fred Astaire and Audrey. She plays a bookkeeper. She runs a bookshop, and Fred Astaire and some models and the owner of a magazine come in. I think it's Quality Magazine in the film. They come in and they just tear the bookshop apart just to use it as a prop, basically, for the models. And she really has a problem with this. Well, Fred Astaire, having the eagle eye of a photographer like he does, he sees something in her and says, she is our model. She's a real person. She's different from all these other models. Let's take her to Paris and make her a model. And of course, so that's what happens. And it's a pretty fun film. Like, it's not top Audrey in my book, but there is a dance scene which it starts off kind of like hokey and I don't know, like, I don't really know what to call it, but it just like hipster-ish. I don't know. I don't know if that's even the right word, but like old-time hipster-ish. But I don't know. It seems pretty talented by the end of it. Like I'm really buying her as that type of dancer. But so anyway, Funny Face. It's a fine film. Paris When It Sizzles. This film, you guys, I've heard very little about this film. compared to any of these others, I had heard very little about this one. This film is super meta, crazy meta for the time, especially. It is 1964. Comes a year after Charade, which is another Audrey Hepburn film with Cary Grant, and she stars opposite William Holden. William Holden plays a screenwriter who has hired Audrey Hepburn to type as he dictates his screenplay. He very quickly starts to kind of put the moves on her a little bit, just kind of flirting and stuff. And the script very much echoes that as it goes. So it's meta in that way. It's also meta in how much it references other Hepburn films. I think it's very much the movie they're writing in the movie. The movie within the movie very much echoes something like a Charade, like I mentioned with Cary Grant. Kind of like this guy that can't be trusted, and what's his angle, and what's her angle, and what's the police's angle, and some people call it silly. I don't know. I mean, it ends, I guess, a little bit silly, but I do enjoy this movie a whole lot. I really enjoy Paris When It Sizzles. I think it's pretty good. I like how meta it is. I think it's really kind of an unusual film for its time. I could be wrong. I mean, if you know similar ones, let me know. But as far as being as meta as this is, it kind of blew me away how meta. Like I said, it puts you in mind of Charade, but it also goes out of its way not to say Charade. There's a point in the movie where she's saying, well, let's play. I mean, she's talking about what's going on in the script, and she says playing Parcheesi and playing, I don't know, she mentions another game, and I'm thinking it would have made so much more sense for her just to say Charade. But it's like they're purposely getting us to think that, right? And so there's that, and then it makes a reference of, he says that there's only so many stories, and he says that My Fair Lady, which is another Audrey Hepburn film, and Frankenstein are the same story. It's just that one has a tragic ending and one has a happy ending. And I don't know. It's true up to a certain extent, for sure. And there's all kinds of stuff like that. It references other stuff too, I think. I feel like it referenced one other movie at least of hers. But anyhow, Paris When It Sizzles, pretty cool. William Holden in that. Sabrina also stars William Holden. He's also the love interest in that. But his brother is played by Humphrey Bogart. And his brother also starts to fall for Audrey. Sort of. Really, at first, his brother wants to send her packing because he thinks it's bad for her to be around for the family. She's sort of a commoner. I mean, she does seem to live a pretty good life, but the deal is that their father's driver is her father. So it's kind of supposed to be beneath them for them to date her. And so the family wants to send her away. William Holden wants to be with her, but then Humphrey Bogart spends time with her just to try to get rid of her and ends up falling for her. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like she's treated pretty poorly, so I do like it. I do like the romance. It's kind of hard to get fully behind it, though, because of that angle. That seems like it lasts a little too long into the film for my comfort. I mean, it's one thing to have a film start in that manner, like how to lose a guy in 10 days kind of thing, right? Like, it starts off this way and then it changes. And I guess you could argue that it's changing with him throughout, but pretty late in the film, he's still planning to send her packing, and that's a little bit of a disappointment to me. Roman Holiday, in this, she plays the princess of a foreign country that has come to Rome, and she's opposite Gregory Peck. And real quick, while I'm on Gregory Peck, I never understood why people would think Gregory Peck could have played Superman back in the day. For some reason, seeing this movie, I was like, oh yeah, I totally get that. I mean, he plays a reporter in this, so maybe that's why, but I totally get it now. Like, I think he would have been a great Superman, maybe. Anyhow, back to the movie. Roman Holiday, she plays a princess. She's very overwhelmed. She gets tired of the day after day, being in front of people, pleasing people, saying all the right things, charity, everything else that goes with it. And so she has a breakdown, basically, and they decide to give her medicine to let her sleep it off. Well, they give it to her, and then she immediately runs off, and she meets Gregory Peck, and he sort of takes care of her. Again, he's a little dodgy about it and kind of wants to get out from beneath the responsibility, but he does take care of her. He does make sure she's okay, and then she spends the next day with him, 24 hours away from the princess stuff. And so, it's kind of a setup like something like The First Daughter. I mean, a common film, definitely a common recent film, definitely inspired by Roman Holiday, I would say, is First Daughter. I believe that's with Katie Holmes, right? It's pretty good. It's solid. I like Roman Holiday quite a bit. And last, and certainly not least, is Audrey Hepburn and George Peppard in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Truman Capote script. Definitely the character seems to be, from my understanding, different than how Capote wrote her. I believe in the book she's a little more clearly a prostitute, and in this film, I mean, more like an escort, I suppose. There's definitely no evidence that she was sleeping with any of the men that were after her in this, but they certainly were expecting it, right? Breakfast at Tiffany's is a movie that I remember fondly as sort of a rom-com, but when I watched it today, it's a super dramatic film, really. Like, it's heartbreaking for her at times in this film, and I don't think it's really remembered that way for the most part. There's definitely some lighter stuff in it too. I mean, when they spend time together, they spend time doing things they've never done before, and that's cool. There's a good song. Moon River is a fantastic song. Apparently it was almost cut, or somebody wanted to cut, and Audrey Hepburn said, over my dead body will that be cut. So a way for her to stand her ground on that one. But the end scene where she and George Peppard embrace and kiss, and they've just retrieved Cat, who she was letting go because she was sort of in another mini meltdown in the rain. Them embracing in the cat, just phenomenal ending. Really love Breakfast at Tiffany's. So now let's talk about my top 5 films, and I really didn't sit and decide this, so I guess I really should have done that, huh? Okay, so yeah, all right, so number 5, I would go with. I think I would go with. No, maybe I wouldn't. I think for number 5, I would go with The Children's Hour. And this is a film about a girls' boarding school, like a young girls' boarding school, 10, 12, 13, I don't know, somewhere around there. And one of the girls in there is just a holy little terror. She's just awful, and they try to make her listen. And when they try to make her listen, she lies about things. And that, coupled with things that one of their aunts begins saying to them, um, leads her to get, I guess, the right idea, but I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but basically, there's a rumor that gets started that happens to sort of be true, but it's nobody's place to know. And it really brings down the fall of the school. And things get out of control. Um, the love interest in that film really stands by Audrey Hepburn's side. It's really kind of a refreshing thing. I like that a lot. I like this very much ahead of its time, I think. Again, like a lot of Audrey Hepburn, really. I mean, I feel like almost any rom-com can be traced back to some Audrey Hepburn film. Not that that necessarily means ahead of its time, but I mean, it's just something that popped into my head at that moment. The It also reminds me a lot of Doubt. Like, I feel like Doubt would be a good thing to watch, like a good double feature if you're looking for something older and something newer. Um, so anyway, Children's Hour, great film. Seems like another one I think is very underseen. So that's my number 5. My number 4, I believe, would be Paris When It Sizzles. I've already said why on that one. Number 3 would be Charade with Cary Grant. It's like an espionage rom-com kind of thing. It's very twisty and turny. Has is it Walter Matthau? Yeah. I think that's right. Walter Matthau in it. And there's these 3 goons after her, and they're sort of working with the love interest, Cary Grant, and you don't really know where anybody's allegiances lie until the very end. You could probably debate whether it actually works or not at the end, but very fun, very twisty film. I enjoyed it a lot. I made my kids watch it. Apparently, there's a lot more death than I realized because my daughter was like, "Yeah, I told Mom you let us watch all the movie with a bunch of deaths." So she probably thinks I let them watch a horror movie or something. But anyway, Charade, very good movie. Number 2, I would say is, and this might surprise people, but I would say number 2 is Breakfast at Tiffany's. It is not my favorite Audrey Hepburn. It's very close. I just love her character in this. We've already been through it, but I love Holly Golightly. Great character. Maybe not for the reasons that some people think. Like, I mean, it's not like the fashion icon Audrey or anything. Although, I mean, I think she is very fashionable in the film, but it's more for the character she plays. It's a very tormented character and very interesting things going on with her character between her and George Peppard in that movie. Number 1 for me, by far, probably a perfect film in my book. Top 5 or 10 of my films all time. Favorites, not best, not saying best. My favorites. Wait Until Dark. It stars. Oh, I wish I had remembered to look up who the male lead is, but it also stars Alan Arkin, and he has one of the great jump scares of all time in my book in this movie. Wait Until Dark is a movie in which Audrey Hepburn plays a blind woman. I definitely remember when Don't Breathe came out, there was a lot of comparisons to Wait Until Dark, and that was very cool. They are good comparisons. I think it is a similar style movie. Well, maybe not style, but it's a similar idea, and you definitely it's definitely creepy in that same sort of way. One man is trying to infiltrate her home by befriending her, and the idea is that they're looking for something in the home that contains something of value. I'm a little shady on it. I don't remember if it's money or if it's something that contains value in another way, but there's something in the home of value that they're trying to uncover, and he wants to do it by befriending her. Others want to do it, I guess just by killing her and then tearing the place apart to find it. Um, so that's going on, and yeah, I did not get to revisit that, so I don't want to say anything that's not true, so I won't go into anything further about that. But Wait Until Dark is a great film. She is very good in it. Like I said, she plays a blind woman. I hope I said that. I hope I didn't say deaf or something different. She is definitely a blind woman in that. Very good stuff. Very good stuff. Definitely another one you need to check out if you have not. Wait Until Dark, Audrey Hepburn. So, with all that being said, I need to get out of here, let you guys go. I appreciate you watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Thanks.